All right, thank you for joining us here as our first quarterfinal match. It's really two of the decks we did not expect in the top 8. We have on one side, on your left, Tony Murata playing blue-green Eldrazi Post. He already has one Legacy Open win with the deck, 2 more top 8s with it. You can tell when a player comes from Phoenix to play a tournament out in Massachusetts that they're not messing around at that point.
Certainly not.
His opponent, his first top 8 ever here on the SCG Tour from Maine, it's Nate Red, mono red sneak attack. On paper, we think Nate to be a big favorite here. However, Tony is no slouch with his own deck. Starts off on Tropical Island. And Nate's going to start off with a one-of. It is a copy of Sandstone Needle. You see 2 counters on it. It will produce double red twice, and then the land is gone. Brainstorm here from Murata. Now, game 1, Murata does not have much interaction himself.
No, I just have some main deck Pithing Needles. Amusingly, they are in the main deck to primarily deal with Wasteland, but they can shut off Sneak Attack all the same. No copies of Spell Pierce or anything like that, and not even any Force of Wills. The blue spells are really Repeal, Show and Tell.
Cloud Post and Go from Tony Murata. Nate now looks like turn 2 is the turn. Plays a land, cracks a Lotus Petal. That's up to 4 mana. Sneak Attack in play. No 5th land, though. If there's one of those main deck Pithing Needles, just kidding. Seeming Spirit Guide's going to activate, and Gristlebrand will enter the battlefield. The mono red Sneak Attack deck, a lot of fast mana, looking for some one-shot explosive plays. Nate's going to draw 7.
I believe a Lotus Petal and a World-Spied Worm still in hand.
Second petal. Now sneaks World-Spied Emrakul into play. That's going to be a swing for 22. So Nate Red wins the first game. Kind of what we were saying. This is you can be an expert of your deck, but in a matchup like this, Tony's decisions have been taken out of the equation here.
If you don't have counter spells for this stuff or a way to do anything about it, you don't have decisions that matter. You can make them all correctly, but you're just losing.
He cast a Brainstorm. That was the only decision making. I guess Tony got to decide what 7-card hand to keep.
Yeah.
And that's really it. Okay, so if game 1's any example, Tony's going to need some interaction here if he wants any chance of winning. Okay, 4 Force of Will beginning. I'm in.
Yeah.
What else?
3 Flusterstorm. Those can certainly come in as well.
Now, certainly, Flusterstorm wouldn't have done anything against that draw from Nate.
Nope, you just kind of have to cross your fingers and hope it lines up because the stuff in his main deck's kind of trash. This Ugin the Spirit Dragon, Engineered Explosives, this stuff really doesn't play here. The repeals, I really don't think so in this matchup.
You're not going to repeal a Lotus Petal. The bad news for Tony is that it just gets worse post-sideboard here. There's copies of Magus of the Moon now to go in addition to the 4 Blood Moons in the main. I'm not sure that Tony can fight against a Blood Moon effect particularly well, if at all.
He might leave in some number of repeals for that reason. He can fight over that. He has
Sideboard
Sideboard Crowsand Grips. Those are okay. Let's say that you can catch your opponent. They cast Sneak Attack and they need to cast a Lotus Petal. You can Crowsand Grip in response. Maybe you can squeak out some value that way.
Well, it's just going to be a difficult situation. Surgical Extraction, Trick Bind, any play to these? They all have, they can do something, but not anything good.
Yeah, I don't think. So Surgical is one of those things where when you play against a combo deck, you have to find some way first to get a card into the graveyard, then you Surgical them. There's multiple issues with that. First, it's hard to get something in the graveyard in the first place. And second, the mono red Sneak Attack attacks you on multiple axes. It's difficult for the Surgical to actually matter even if you can cast it relevantly.
Nathaniel red sideboard. Outside of Magus of the Moon, anything you like here? I guess cards like Trinisphere, horrible against a post deck. Tony would play them himself.
I'm thinking maybe on Ingot Chewer, it's an answer to Pithing Needle. Maybe sometimes you want to destroy a Candelabra to slow down Tony if your hand kind of hiccups.
You can wait for a second game. Now remember, by virtue being in the top 8, these players all now qualifying for the Season 1 Invitational. That's happening at the end of June. It's June 30th through July 2nd in Roanoke, Virginia. You can join them there at the Invitational by playing in the Opens or by competing in Invitational qualifiers. Invitational qualifiers right now happening all around the country. They They are tournaments held at local stores. It's $1,000 given out as prizes to the top 8, including points here on the SCG Tour, which can help you earn buys at SCG events, top 8 playmats, and pins given to players, as well as tokens for registering, things like the Jacob Baugh Energy token. These are all given away at invitational qualifiers. They're held by your store, so you can find a list of those and find one near you at StarCityGames/IQ. Also, for store owners, same link as to sign up for one yourself.
The first invitational that I played, I qualified for through an IQ, playing Tempered Steel in the Standard. Piece of trivia here. But yeah, IQs are great tournaments. 1K, generally going to be better than a lot of the local offerings that you're going to have. A great way to spend your weekend. And invitationals for this year, looking really nice. The new in-house Roanoke Invitational. Really excited to see how those play out.
Yeah, now down to the 2-season format, but with larger prizes than ever at the invitationals, making them into much more destination events.
Yes.
All right, so we have game 2, Tony Murata, Nate Red, back to that. Tony on the play again. Boy, I just feel like it. I mean, every turn counts for Tony. The earliest, though, that Tony can reasonably make a play here, he doesn't have fast mana.
No, he has big mana that comes online a little slowly.
Yeah, he has 4 show and tells in the main. Now, forget for a second that show and tell could completely backfire. Yeah. His earliest that he can show and tell, I believe, is still turn 3.
I believe that is the case. Doesn't look like there's a way to otherwise make that happen.
Yeah, now the deck's not great, it can get to 15 mana on turn 4 if it's lucky enough, but get enough Candelabra Townhouses and Cloud Posts in there and sure.
Yeah. But it looks to be possibly multiple turns slower on average than the mono red sneak attack deck.
Yeah, I see Tony now taking a mulligan. Because the matchup's so unfavorable, I wouldn't be surprised to see a very aggressive mulliganing plan.
And if Nate Red just keeps a 7-card hand, you're probably just really in trouble. You at least should be mulliganing to find Force of Will if you don't just have your deck's nut draw.
It's that look from mono red sneak attack, right? And we've seen this a lot from Nate Red. This is going to be, if he wins, this will be his 3rd match win on camera. You can tell when the mono red player keeps their 7 just how dead you are, And Nate's kept a lot of 7s, and I don't think he's lost with a single one yet.
Some of them were pretty slow and clunky, too. We saw him keep a 7 that went mountain, and it just did some nonsense on turn 3.
And then it made a 6/8 mana, something big.
Yeah.
Tony's going to mulligan again. I suppose what Tony could try to do, if he keeps a Pithing Needle in his opener, and he hits the right card on Needle, say that game you just turn 1 Brainstorm, turn 2 Needle naming sneak attack post. It might have colded Nathaniel's hand, right?
Yeah, certainly possible. Kind of the problem with that plan is unless you're also executing, Nate can just on turn 3 Seething Song into some nonsense and just start casting Godo, Inferno Titan, close the game pretty quickly that way.
Weird things happen in Legacy. So because lots of Legacy decks are so linear, sometimes it's possible in Legacy to get very extreme matchups. And it usually involves linear decks. You just say with lands, it's got a lot of 80s and a lot of 20s. The Cloud Post deck that Murata's playing, and Nate Red's, to be fair, are similar things.
Absolutely.
And when you see them play against each other, that's when you start getting matches like that are not even just 80s and 20s. We're talking like 95-5. This is this could be on that level. No, Tony's got so little play.
When you have 2 decks that both have those high volume of 80, 20, 20, 80 matchups, when they play against each other, I assure you it's not 50-50.
Right. I don't know the exact number on this of just how favored Nate is, but it's huge.
It's very significant.
All right, Tony keeping 5, turn 1, Sensei's Divining Top. He has a Flusterstorm in hand, so he has some interaction, assuming Nate just doesn't kill him on turn 1. And it looks like he might. Simian Spirit Guide, Chalice of the Void on 1.
Yeah, he could certainly do more damage than this.
That is beatable. Tony spins top. Now, the mono red deck reloads very quickly. This is just a stepping stone.
Tony has a Pithing Needle in his top 3. That one's not going to
No,
resolve
no.
through this Chalice.
Get rid of that.
You
If
might
he can
just
shuffle.
have to check Nathaniel, see if Nate can remember that Chalice trigger. Honestly,
Second mountain from Nate. Says go. Tony can spin top on end step here. Does he want? He has that Misty Rainforest. Now, if he has a Tropical Island Misty Rainforest, he's not playing Cloud Posts, which means he's not building his mana.
right?
Looks like he liked 2 of his top 3, so he's going to draw another card here. Now, I expect a shuffle before we go to the 3rd card down. You mentioned it was a Pithing Needle.
Okay, this is good.
Engineer Explosives on 0 from Tony. That actually will take care of the explosives, or of the Chalice. 3rd mountain from Nate. No land from Tony either. And he will go for Blood Moon. Murata will respond to that. Cracks fetch land. Now, he does have 1 island and 1 forest here. So it's not game over to turn 3 Blood Moon. Murata can always, remember, if he gets a basic island here, he does play Show and Tells in his deck. It's one of the ways he can be as fast as Nate.
Right.
Now, the problem is you might Show and Tell, and Nate might put Emrakul into play, or Gristlebrand, or World Spine Worm. I mean, this is
Yeah.
your best plan still has a huge fail rate.
Murata's deck also is not heavy on huge things to Show and Tell in. The most common is the 4 copies of Primeval Titan. And Primeval Titan doesn't even necessarily line up, certainly with Blood Moon on the battlefield.
We'll get 15 lands in play eventually.
It might not even beat Godo from Nate, though. Just
It beat
Godo.
Primeval Titan, never lost to Godo.
Godo, equip Batterskull to Godo. Your turn. Can Primeval Titan under Blood Moon beat that? I don't think so.
Pithing Needle named Sneak Attack from Murata. Misses a land again. Yeah, Primeval Titan will find a way. From
Well,
Nate?
first I'll tutor up some more mountains.
From Nate, yeah, that's fine. Mountains are okay. From Nate Red, we actually just saw no play go. This is an opportunity for Tony. Don't know if what he can make out of it. There still is that Blood Moon in play. See Cloud Post. It's unlikely also that there's a Krosan Grip in Tony's hand. He got the island and not the forest, kind of showing that he's drawing to Sneak Attack as opposed to, say, drawing to Krosan Grip.
Show and Tell, rather. But
Show
yeah.
and Tell, right. On Nathaniel's side, he's going to go ahead and exile Seaman Spirit Guide to play Sneak Attack, but that's Pithing Needles. He can't do anything with it.
Really curious that he made that play because he does have Through the Breach and Emrakul in hand.
Right, you wouldn't want to, it's more like you don't want to lose the Spirit Guide.
Right.
Primeval Titan, Force of Will for Tony.
Has some number of answers to Pithing Needle. If he boarded in those
Ingot Chewers,
he can just take that off the table. So if he has all of that, then he can just Sneak Attack on the following turn.
Tony continues to spin top. He was on a 5-card hand. Now keep in mind, Tony does have Force of Will in his top 3 now. Looks like Primeval Titan, Force of Will, and Crop Rotation. Crop Rotation is not really going to do much. Another Pithing Needle from Murata. I think it's also going to name Sneak Attack. We'll confirm, though. Yeah, both Pithing Needles on Sneak Attack.
And Nate picked up another mountain. If he still had Simian Spirit Guide, he could Through the Breach on this turn.
Sure can. I think he has multiple Through the Breaches. So if he just gets another mountain, it's going to get around Murata's Force of Will. This game's really shaping up to be a high-powered one here.
Both of these decks clearly executing their A plan.
City of Traders. So 5 mountains from Nate. Says go. Remember, you can end step Through the Breach and then main phase Through the Breach to overload someone's mana.
That way, Tony can't just do something like Flusterstorm both of them.
Exactly. Says go. On Tony's end step, Nate will cast Through the Breach. And it's going to be a Flusterstorm. Untap, Through the Breach main phase. Tony, I believe, has Force of Will.
Access to 4 cards that may or may not be blue given these Sensei's Divining Tops. Doesn't even have to look, though.
Draws a blue card with Sensei's Divining Top. Force of Will, pitching Brainstorm. All right, Tony has survived the pair of Through the Breaches. Now, Nate's hand has an Inferno Titan in it. It's only 1 land away from that. We're not out of the woods yet. Top Primeval Titan and Crop Rotation are the top 3. He's putting up a fight, though. Spins top again. See the new card? It looks to be something blue. Recast that Divining Top and says go. Nate, Ancient Tomb, sure. 6 red sources. Inferno Titan, 3U.
The best Titan in Magic makes an appearance.
Man, it's not even close.
Casts lightning bolts just for free. I can't think of an effect even comparably powerful to that.
Arc Lightning or double Rampant Growth for non-basics. They are about the same.
Which spell do you think has been cast more in the history of Magic, Lightning Bolt or Rampant Growth?
It's Arc Lightning.
Whatever.
If it's Arc Lightning or Rampant Growth, I'm saying Rampant Growth.
That's totally reasonable. That's probably correct. This is just Lightning Bolt with upside.
It still has a different name.
it only targeted. It was actually Lava Spike there.
There's no way Rampant Growth's been cast as many times as Lava Spike. And Tony's done quite a fight here. He's not going to have removal of Inferno Titan, and if he finds Sneak Show and Tell, there's going to be an Emrakul. So I don't. It's been a valiant play so far, but.
And this is the strength of mono red sneak attack relative to these other kind of all-in combo decks.
They actually play lands.
Exactly. A deck like Charbelcher takes forever to reset because all your stuff's just 1 mana ever, whereas these are just lands that tap for mana. Just cast Blood Moon, buy a ton of time, just cast 2 spells for 5 mana each that were must counters, then just cast a 6 mana creature that's going to win the game.
There are 19 lands in Nate's deck. That's 18 more lands than Goblin Charbelcher plays. And it's going to be Repeal on Blood Moon from Murata. He's not. No, he is dead this turn. Actually, he's not because of the Blood Moon.
With the Blood Moon being picked up, he loses access to some red mana here.
Right. Titan swings for 9 plus however much red mana you want to put into it.
The question is how many Simian Spirit Guides are in Nate's hand.
So Inferno Titan throws an Arc Lightning and swings for 6. Tony's going to go down to 6. Let's see if Nate's going to do the safe play and just recast the Blood Moon. That seems good.
Who taps Ancient Tomb and takes 2 to send a message, leaves his City of Traders untapped as a mountain.
I don't need these. What we're looking at, 8 mana. Okay, Blood Moon.
Maybe Blood Moon plus extra spell. I think it's Simian Spirit Guide Godo.
Sure.
Okay, so he actually did take 2 damage for a reason here.
And we're back to Tony. He could have tried to set up some sort of end step, bounce Blood Moon, untap, do something great. But just, this matchup stinks. There's no other way about it.
I would cover mono red sneak attack for every round of a legacy tournament.
Nice 2-hour broadcast.
Yeah, it'd be great.
Nate Red a 2-0. He is the winner over Tony Murata, and mono red sneak attack moves on to the semi.